You know, for the longest time, the phone in your pocket was either an iPhone or an Android, right? It's been a two-horse race. But what if I told you there's a new giant waking up? Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on Huawei's HarmonyOS and its absolutely explosive growth. So just to give you a sense of how big this is, let's start with a number. 8 million. That's how many developers have jumped on the HarmonyOS bandwagon since it launched back in 2019. I mean, that's just a staggering figure no matter how you look at it. And it really begs one very important question.
Exactly. In a market that's been completely dominated by just two major players for years, where on earth did 8 million developers suddenly come from? That's the central mystery we're going to unravel today. All right, so here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll look at how this OS was born from a pretty intense crisis. Then we'll dig into how Huawei managed to build this huge army of developers. After that, we'll see what the next big tech leap looks like. And finally, we'll take a peek at the future this is all creating. Okay, so to really get HarmonyOS, you have to understand the crisis that created it. This wasn't some grand plan hatched in a boardroom. Nope. This was an act of pure survival. You know that old saying, necessity is the mother of invention? Well, this is a textbook case.
The whole story really kicks off in 2019. See, before then, Huawei was a huge deal in the Android universe. But then, bam, a US ban hit, and suddenly they were cut off from all the key Google services. I mean, this could have been a total disaster for them. They had to think fast, and their big pivot was to launch their very own operating system, HarmonyOS. Now, launching a new OS is one thing, but you can't just expect everyone to rewrite all their apps overnight. That's just not realistic. So Huawei's first move was actually pretty brilliant. The early versions of HarmonyOS were built to run existing Android apps, just like that, right out of the box. This was huge, because it meant there wasn't a big, empty app store, and it bought them the time they desperately needed. So, okay, they had the basic tech in place. But an OS is totally useless without people making stuff for it, right? This brings us back to that mind-boggling number. How in the world did Huawei recruit an army of 8 million developers, basically from a standing start? Well, it wasn't just one thing. It was this massive, three-pronged attack. First, they went straight to the source of new talent, universities. They started getting HarmonyOS into the curriculum. Second, they opened it up to everyone by launching a massive online academy. And third, they went directly to the big companies to get the most important apps built from the ground up. And when I say they partnered with universities, I'm not talking about just a few schools. We're talking over 400 universities in China are now teaching courses on HarmonyOS. That's a long-term play right there. They're building a whole pipeline of talent that's going to fuel this thing for years and years. And that second pillar, the one about training the masses, get this. The HarmonyOS Academy has enrolled over 7.3 million people. Just let that sink in. That's more than the entire population of some countries. This created a massive, ready-to-go pool of developers who could start building for this new ecosystem almost immediately. So now, with millions of developers on board and ready to go, Huawei was ready for its most ambitious move yet. It was time to cut the cord completely. Time to go from just being compatible with the old way to being totally, fully independent. You can really think of it as a two-step plan. The first version of HarmonyOS was like a bridge, right? It used Android compatibility to get things up and running fast. But the next version, what they're calling HarmonyOS Next, is a complete break. It's totally independent. It only runs native apps built just for HarmonyOS. Now, that's a bold move, but the trade-off is huge. They get way better speed and performance. So after all that, surviving a crisis, building this developer army, evolving the tech, what does it all add up to? Let's take a quick look at the kind of impact HarmonyOS is having right now, today. What started as a phone OS has just exploded. It's not just phones anymore. It's on tablets, PCs, TVs, watches, smart speakers, even smart cars and big business solutions. It's become this truly massive, interconnected ecosystem with everything running on the same core OS. And the adoption numbers are already pretty serious. One of Huawei's top executives, Yu Chengdong, just recently confirmed that the number of devices running HarmonyOS has already blown past 25 million. And if you want to put that growth into perspective, check out this number, 144,000. That's the estimated number of new devices getting HarmonyOS installed every single day.
The momentum here is just undeniable, and it's picking up speed.
Which, brings us to a final pretty big thought. For decades, we've lived in this duopoly of Apple and Google. But now, with millions of developers and tens of millions of devices joining this new ecosystem, are we watching the rise of a third global power? Are we literally witnessing the digital world start to split in two? It's definitely something to think about.